Hello, 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 hello. How we doing? How's things? How's life? How's the universe? How has your week been? What's everybody been up to this week? Hold on. Try to move this a little bit. Right, there we go. Hello. How we doing? How's things? Um, hello, Jim. How you doing? How's your week been? What have you been up to? Anything fun? Um, I've been not well as usual. Hello, Simon. How you doing, man? How's things? How's life? What's everybody been up to? Well, actually, we know what Simon's been up to with from the Discord with the what was it? Masons, that was it. And their 100 and something, 140-inch screens, 114. I'm bad with numbers. Hold on, I'll find it. 142-inch displays. And two of them. Also on the Discord, Chris reported an absolutely insane deal at Costco. Now, I looked at the picture that Chris sent. It's a CyberPower PC, and it is an AMD Ryzen 5, 16 gigabytes of RAM, a 1 terabyte SSD, and a RTX 5060. So kind of mid PC. In my head, that's, you know, definitely sub £1,000. Costco is selling it for £799 and 98 pence, which, yeah, not too bad, decent. But then Chris linked to a PC part picker link with the parts, and it is £1,000 if you buy it from like, you know, PC Power Picker basically. With the standouts being one 16 gigabyte stick of DDR5 is £200 now. Also, a very mid-tier PCIe Gen 4x4 SSD, a WD Green SN3000, just a 1 terabyte drive, is £163. Ah. So yeah, that's insane. I am so sorry for people trying to build PCs right now. It sucks. Rising pricey. Yeah. Two 3x2 meter LED video walls, about 142 inches each. Yes, I knew there were video walls, because one, I don't think like TV mother glass goes to anything above 100-ish inches. Two, we know that's your deal. But yeah, still kind of crazy. Gym week's been okay, nothing major. Still losing weight and dealing with the nausea. I'm like fluttering through the filing cabinet in my brain of past experiences on live streams. Remind me what's up with you, because I'll be honest, a lot wrong with me. Hard to keep track of other people's things too. My apologies. I try my best. But I hope you're okay. Yeah. Hello, be right. How you doing, man? How's things? Apple are in the budget laptop game now. I saw some thumbnails of those, but have not had time to check it out. Although one of the thumbnails did say $599 for a MacBook, so I guess that's what we're going with. How I mean, obviously it's an Apple M chip, right? How much RAM do they have? Apple. Find out. Pick a color. Oh, okay, so you you get either 256 gig of internal storage or 512 gig. And what's the... Don't show me the financing, tell me the specs. Yes, yes, yes. Performance is not in their list. Can anyone tell me what the specs are? 3.6 million pixels. So what's that, like? Is that 1080p or 1440p? Oh, it's 1440p. Cool. Nice. Oh, it's an A19 Pro, 8 gig of RAM and 250 gig storage, or A18, sorry. And 8 gig of unified memory. Okay, so that means no memory at all. Although for this kind of price point, it's not super unheard of even before the thing. But yeah, so it's an A19 Pro, which is their phone chip, I should add. Or their phone class. But yeah. 6 cores, so 2 performance cores, 4 efficiency cores. Lots of memory for the laptop's use case. Do bear in mind that it's unified memory, so 1 or 2 gig of that will have to go to video, and anytime you want to do any of the AI stuff, but yeah. I thought I mentioned it before. Diabetic and meds changed around 10 months ago because of the HbA1c was creeping up. New meds are working, but side effects suck ass. I can wholly attest to side effects sucking ass. The whole like insane headaches that I had for like 6 months straight was no, 3 months straight was because of the medication I was taking to like stop my guts from bleeding out from the inside out with ulcerative colitis, and the ulcers I was guessing was from my inhalers, which again were keeping my lungs open and functioning. So yeah, I've had to stop taking both of those, and well, just got to Windows on Miley's build. Motherboard came today, sent you the build on Discord. I think it's come to 5 to 600, 648, 47 postage included. Nice, fair enough. Awesome. Remember to use Microsoft Activation Services. Good. I think the A18 Pro only has 8 gig of RAM. The A19 Pro has 12, so next year maybe 12 on the laptop. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I certainly don't begrudge Apple for essentially reusing older hardware but putting it in a more budget chassis and like package, I think is what I'm going for. And yeah, $600 for what should be, not seen anything about it, but from knowing Apple, a decent user experience. Yeah, fair enough. Still not for me, but fair enough. Especially in this like in the state of the market right now, I can see why that looks hella appealing. Because I mean, you can like if you're looking at desktops, as Chris showed, for 100 or so quid more, you can get a decent gaming desktop, but that's only 16 gig of RAM and one terabyte of storage, and that's Costco pricing. Like, yeah. Hello, Chris. We're just talking about you or your Costco revelation. Apparently, it's as quick as the M1. Quite impressive. Just crazy that Apple are selling budget laptops. Yeah, yeah. Crazy. There was a 6-core M1, wasn't there? There was a 6 and an 8-core, right? So I take it this A 18 Pro is basically just a brain. Work with me. An M1 in disguise. That's what I'm trying to go with. Like the standard M1, not the M1 Pro or Ultra or Max or Extreme or whatever if they were. Been warm but dry today. I'm not sure on the core counts. I know I'm fairly confident there was the low end M1 that was 6. That might have been the same as this, 2 performance and 4 efficiency, I think. Yeah. Was genuinely tempted to buy one of those PCs. I don't blame you, having looked at the PC Power Picker link. That is insane. Ambira, I think they're really aiming at browsing social media and very basic stuff. Probably, yeah. I have to imagine for what it is for. Hello Stanislav, how you doing, man? How's things? And Jim, I've experienced all of those things. It's not fun. I can give you some recommendations for things if you're interested in you know my experiences with many of those things, but I also I'm sure you're aware of many of them, and might not be interested in having you know your own illness explained to you or whatever, you know. Not bleeding guts bad, but it still sucks. Yeah, that one's more psychologically damaging than physically by comparison, but yeah. Did you catch in the Discord? I had fun in the M62 yesterday. Briefly, where was it? What did you say exactly? I know that me and I want to say it right. Grotislava, I think. We're talking about it. Oh, the North 60. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Man, who knows? The M5 Pro and M5 Max chips sound good. The efficiency cores are replaced by something between them and the previous performance cores, which they've called performance cores because that's not confusing. I think the base M5 performance cores are now super cores or something. Fair enough. I mean, if it works, I think it's one of the funny things about Apple's shift to Apple Silicon and their own like chip designs and ARM in particular was a massive deal, right? It was hugely important for them, and it was such a big leap from the Intel chips that were available at the time. And then, you know, the second and third and fourth, like there is a decent difference between an M3 or 4 and an M1, right? But not so much that you care, because it's just kind of same, like it's just little incremental improvements, just as Intel had been doing and has been doing. So yeah, that's funny. I've heard SSEs will become more expensive. Lovely. I would not be surprised. I have a video about So not tomorrow, but Monday. Monday's video will be a bit of an essay about RAM, how RAM works, how it's made, why we are in such a drought, and a little bit about what the future holds. So, you know, check that out. Monday evening. I don't know, like 6 or something. 6:15, 5:15, 5:45, sometime around between 5 and 7 p.m. UK time. Will be a video about RAM. These new MacBook Neo devices are unreal for 600. Pity the camp game though. That's true. And 600 euros for a MacBook is crazy. That it is. That it is. They're also chiplet design now with separate CPU and graphics modules interconnected in the chip. That also makes sense. I mean, one of the biggest advancements that AMD made with Ryzen was chiplets. The ability to maximize wafer space and separate the wafer technologies into like what matters most. I think initially they did it purely as a like right, I got to tell you a bit of context that you may or may not know, but you're you're watching and I like talking, so just thought it. AMD used to own their own foundries, their own chip fabrication facilities, and they weren't doing so hot in the mid like 2000s to late 2000s, early 2010s. So they made a deal with the Abu Dhabi Wealth Fund, I believe, to basically sell off their foundries. However, because AMD was selling off their own foundries to raise capital, they based like the only way that you can get money out of a business that relies on another arm of your own business actually like making any money, like ordering, is you guarantee an order volume. So AMD, when they sold their own foundries, they said, hey, we guarantee we will buy X amount of wafers from you, this new entity we now call Global Foundries, every year for X number of years. That's how they managed to secure any amount of value from it, because otherwise they're just selling off these foundries with no guarantee of repeat business or future customers. However, when they started making Ryzen chips and they started doing really well, they realized, hey, TSMC is doing a much better job of like fab production and process nodes. We want to use them, but we still have deals with Global Foundries that require us to be manufacturing wafers with them, and that complicates things. So if you split up the chip so that parts of it that don't need to be super efficient and performant, aka all of the I/O stuff, can be, you know, you're like an older, less expensive process node, that makes those chips, those bits of chips, smaller, which means the yield is generally higher. And then for the actual CPU nodes, well, if you're just duplicating them to have 16 cores instead of 8, that's even easier, because then you can just put some number of chiplets on, and then the chiplets themselves get to be way smaller, so you can get more of them, get a better yield, and you can use any process node you want to fit between the two. It's amazing. Intel's version is similar but different, because they use an interposer layer, an interconnect layer of silicon that has to be wired up specific for the chip model you have, and that comes with sort of tighter constraints and things. But yeah, I'm not surprised that Apple is going the way of chiplets too, because it just makes so much sense from a fabrication and cost perspective. So much sense. I thought Intel called gluing chips together bad. They did. And then they did it several times. And we've only reminded them of that every single time they do it. There should be a Mac with super and duper cores. Oh, nothing can be happy about is the future of hardware. You're kind of, well, you're right from what the corporations want. From a personal perspective, I would get good with you know, having tech on hand and being good with not needing to upgrade. Hello Ish, how you doing? How's things? Reject paternity, return to PS2. To be fair, I've played a couple of PS2 games on my Steam Deck and I've been very happy about it. Intel tick. Pretty much. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. Actually, speaking of great value hardware, I bought a thin client. I bought a little mini PC. It's here with us today in the studio. And it's a Dell Wise. Wise did I buy this? I bought this. There's the I/O if you're interested. Come on, focus. Focus. See? Gigabit Ethernet, a couple of USB ports. DVI. The reason I bought this is because... Oh, very wise purchase. That's great. Oh. Oh, you both made it. Nice. The reason I bought this is I want to break free. No. I have a jukebox playing in my head constantly. I want to shut up. Use this to install Home Assistant and show others how you too can install Home Assistant. On ultra low cost commodity hardware that is much more powerful, potentially upgradable, and just generally usable compared to something like a Raspberry Pi. This whole mini PC, including a stand and the power supply, I think has either 4 or 8 gig of RAM, which is incredible value in today's economy. I'm just gonna check. Yes, I bought it used. Of course, I bought it used. Purchases, yeah. 4 gig of RAM, 64 gig of storage. Was a principal £26.70 with an extra £5.21 in postage. So I paid about 30 quid for this entire mini PC with 4 gig of RAM and 64 gig of storage. And there's something rattling around inside, so I'm gonna open it up and have a look. And I thought I'd bring you along for the ride with me. I don't know how many screws are necessary to remove this, but yeah. I'm thinking of passing USB radio through to a VM and Proxbox. Cheaper than a Pi and full fat storage bus and CPU. Nice, yeah, fair enough. Took me a minute to compute what you were talking about. Where's a little Phillips? Actually, I think this is JIS. But yeah, so basically, these little mini PCs are available for super cheap. This is a Wise 7020, I believe, so it's a little on the big side. This one also doesn't have a PCIe slot or anything, but like I said, this is 4 gig of RAM and 64 gig of storage. And there are smaller ones, like a Wise 3070 or something or other, but that are similar price, but they're like 2 gig of RAM and like 16 gig of internal storage, 32 gig if you're really lucky. And so I wanted to go with something like this instead. There's also a few Lenovo and Fujitsu, I think, mini PCs of similar class. But yeah, a used Wise cheaper than new and used Pies. Great rhyme, and also yes, which is kind of the point. So like this entire mini PC is ridiculously cheap, much cheaper than a Pi, and should give you much better like hardware, you know. 64 gig flash, like, oops, well, something fell off. Does anyone know how to open these? Because I'm just taking screws off and seeing what breaks. Which, to be fair, is my usual method of gaining entry. If anyone has any suggestions, by the way, how to get into these, because otherwise I will just keep unscrewing stuff. And yeah, this one's 4 gig RAM. There are I looked at a bunch. Yeah, this one is apparently a quad-core AMD G series processor. And importantly for this one, it is it came with a power supply, which is actually kind of rare for these little thin clients. Yeah. I think now I've taken those two side screws. Oh no, I think I need to take the there's a VESA mount set of screws here. Massive things. Yeah, I mean it has a little like card that slides out with all of the information on it, which is cool. Like the serial number, the MAC address, the service tag. It takes a maximum of 19 volts at 3.42 amps. We got like 60 watts. Yeah, there's screws in the bottom, which I am presently removing. Whatever floats your boat. What are these usually for? Yeah, so school is the short answer, definitely. My college had a bunch of these. It was basically like a way to, oh, that's interesting. So the top panel does now slide back. Aha, there we go. Top panel off. System inside. Awesome. Right. But the side panels, now that I removed the screw, also slide off. And there's something rattling, or a couple of things rattling around in here anyway, so I'm gonna take off as much as I can in the hopes of rescuing whatever is rattling. Looking through eBay, found a Dell XPS Studio that's X58. Kind of want it. You would, wouldn't you? It's a very Chris thing to want. But yeah, so these were thin clients. For those that don't know, thin client is basically like a little mini PC like this that would sit like strapped to the back of a monitor, like those VESA mounts. You would literally like double-ended standoffs, and would come on, brain. This would run basically as just like a Chromecast, like a headless server, so that this you would like log into your user ID, whatever, but it would be rendered or managed, computed on a centralized server, and then sent to this. Yes, it does appear to be fanless. It uses the top plate as a heatsink as well. That's what that thermal pad is there for. But yeah, so we have a SODIMM RAM module, which should be, yeah, 4 gigs. So we have a 4 gig RAM module. Under this heatsink here, you can just see it poking out, is the SSD, or at least I believe anyway, which is a very unusual form factor. I think it's that weird SATA. Yeah, so it's a 64 gig MLC SATA module. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but through there, like what's under that sticker there is the like mSATA connector, if I remember rightly. Although that looks bigger than mSATA, so I'm not entirely sure. There is also a SATA port up at the top, up here. See it? There's another connector there actually, possibly proprietary. I'm not sure. A couple of connectors over this side. A load of connectors over this side. Front panel I/O. Yeah. I literally only got this like an hour ago, so you are seeing this at the same time I am. Although I know something was rattling around here a minute ago, and now it's not. Oh, hold on, wait. Great news! The DC Ascent. No. So the RAM module, there are 2 slots. You could upgrade this thing's RAM. This is an SK Hynix stick, which, if you're interested, yeah. It's not an unshelled SSD. Wait, hold on. Actually, that does kind of look like a SATA power and a SATA data connector, doesn't it? I will be taking this apart a bit more to find out more, but yeah. Like I said, just got it. Don't know much about it, except I want to install Home Assistant OS on here. SATA DOM. Yeah, no, I'm not sure, because it's from what I can see through the heatsink. Actually, hold on. It's not. It's an A-Pacer drive. And the part number, someone want to look this up for me, is 8Y. And then there's a dot. F1 E4 F1 EF4, and then another dot, and then a 4 T200BA. You want to look that up for me? It says 64 gig MLC SATA module HF. An A-Pacer drive. with 2 Toshiba NAND packages. Yeah. Nothing came up. I probably said it wrong, but T200BA, Dell 64 gig internal SSD. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's an A-Pacer drive. See the A-Pacer name, and SATA 1 apparently, half slim SATA SSD. Interesting. Well, like I said, I will have this apart to better work out what the hell's going on in here. But yeah, it's really cool to see the fact that it's entirely passive with such a weird like heatsink structure. Like the fins are really not well spaced apart at all, or overly spaced apart, you know. And then like the middle bit, it's just chunks. Yeah, kind of weird, kind of cool. Upgradable RAM is nice. The fact that there is a SATA port is cool, but there's no visible way to power it unless one of these empty headers is sufficient power, which that big ass one could be, but I don't know. Oh, the yellow port there is HD audio. Up here there is a yellow pin header. That is your HD slash whatever 97 audio. Yeah. Sweet. Well, lots to learn about this. Will Pulsar be the next big thing for monitors? I sure hope not, because I hate it. I do have a video about it coming out on Friday, where you can learn all about it. I don't entirely understand why these side panels are removable like this, but is it that way around? I would say, am I being an idiot? But the answer to that is almost always yes, so. I think the answer is yes. It just needs to be further back. Right. You hate it because of the bad implementation, or is the only way it can be implemented? I hate it at a quite fundamental level because Pulsar is basically backlight strobing on steroids. So for context, those who don't know, monitors like the monitors that you're watching me on right now are what are called sample and hold displays. So they take a still frame and they show you the whole frame all at once and just hold it there for whatever your refresh rate is, or if you have variable refresh rate, it can vary how long that image stays up on screen. Generally speaking, you're talking some number of milliseconds, be that single digit if you're in, higher than 100 hertz, or 101 hertz, or 60 hertz is 16.67 milliseconds. That's how long that image stays on screen for. The weird trick that our eyes do is when stuff is moving across the screen, but it is stationary for those frames, the larger the step is between those two frames, basically, the more our eyes blur them. And so you can trick that by turning the backlight off between frames. The reason that works is because the brain or the eyes stop seeing the frame in between, and so when they reacquire it, they just snap to the place. They don't blur between it. So you do get improved motion clarity. It does improve how specifically motion looks to your eyes, which you might think, cool, sounds great, except what you're doing is flash banging your eyes hundreds of times a second. Now, Pulsar works because NVIDIA made a custom scaler with MediaTek that lets them sort of cheat a bit more than usual. Oh, I found the loose thing. It was a screw, and it embedded itself in the top. There we go. I don't know where the screw's from. Oh, shit. Well, I see one missing over there, so I'm going to put it there. Pardon me. I'm so glad I can mute the mic on command. It's brilliant. There we go. Right. Screw that back down. And so Pulsar is kind of the best version of that. So the backlight only turns on just before the new frame starts rendering, which means the LCD has time to finish rendering the frame. You also get like backlight zones that turn on. So only like it rolls the backlight on from top to bottom over the course of 25% of the frame time. So if the frame time was 10 milliseconds, it would be on for 2.5 milliseconds. If the frame time is 1 millisecond, it's on for 0.25 milliseconds. What that means is that you cut the backlight, like you cut the screen's perceived brightness by 4, and you get well, I get a splitting fucking headache. Because you are flashbanging yourself, in Pulsar's case, currently 360 times per second. Although technically, if it's flashbanging you across the screen, you're also getting wiped as well as flashed. So yeah, I just generally hate it. And in a world where OLEDs exist, this one, I much prefer the usage experience and perceived experience of an OLED with instant response times to an LCD that has to use flashbangs to get like smooth motion experience. Don't get flashed by an OLED, exactly. They should pay me. And you, I guess. It's funny because flicker-free black backlighting was a big step forward in monitor development. This is a giant step backwards towards a marketing point, a bit like FrameGen gets higher FPS. Yeah, absolutely. Like, there are still monitors that pride themselves in advertising that they are flicker-free. And now we are paying more to be flashbanged? Like, what? How does that work? Why would anyone want that? No. No. By the way, CRT displays, cathode ray tube, are not sample and hold displays, because the way that a CRT works is it uses an electron beam to ignite the phosphorus coating on the back of the glass, and so only if you look at it with a high enough speed camera, or fast enough shutter speed, only a couple of pixels at a time are ever actually outputting any light, because the beam scans across the screen, and it takes the entire frame time to give you that to actually draw the frame. So a CRT gradually updates the frame according to what your eyes see, but in practice, it's only ever actually outputting light across a couple of, like a single row and a couple of pixels at a time. Which is why CRTs can be so bad for your eyes, because, again, they're just flashing you. So I'm just putting the Ys back together. I'm being wise and putting it back together. Hello app, how you doing? Captain Cakes is a 3060 good nowadays. It's not bad. It's not amazing. If you're planning on buying one, as long as it's at the right price, yeah. And it depends what you want to do with it. If you're planning on buying it, I don't know, for 200 quid, and you want to play 1080p games, a bit of 1440p, whatever, you know, medium settings, go for it. You're going to have a great time. It's going to meet your expectations. Awesome. If, however, you want to play 4K games, and even worse, you're going to pay £300 or £400 for it, or in your respective currency, that sounds like a bad deal, and I wouldn't. Hope that's helpful. Come on. Go in the hole. I don't want to hear a word. Go in the hole. Stop it. It's in the hole. Yeah. Right. Sorted. Back together. It's insane. I can buy a PS5 for 300 and run 4K, but to do that on PC, you have to spend literally the thousands. Yes and no. The 4K experience you're getting on on a PS5 is not the same 4K experience you would get on a PC. And the biggest argument is that a PS5 is just a games console, a PC is a PC. It can play games, but it can also make games. That's why I built a PC. You know, you can do video editing, you can do 3D modeling, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. A PC can, like, launch a business and a career. A PlayStation can't. PlayStation, you can play games and enjoy it, and it is a perfectly valid tool to do that. And I like, if that is what you enjoy, awesome, more power to you. Hope you enjoy it. But it's not an apples to apples comparison, is what I'm trying to get at, you know. Not too bad. Good. Been given tomorrow off as an employee appreciation day. Pub is supposed to be. Nice. This was always my justification for PC being a better option. Projects and educational. I barely play any games, really. I mean, me too. I play games a couple hours a week at most. But I built my multiple businesses now from this PC. So yeah. I do more than game on my PC, that's how I justify it. Oh, thank you for updating, Green. Yeah, exactly. It is a multi-function tool. Which, again, if you purely want a game and you already have a laptop that can do lots of stuff, it just can't game, then fair enough. And like, all your friends are, you know, playing PlayStation, whatever, you have a good enough experience on PlayStation, awesome. Enjoy it. It's wonderful. But, yeah. I also appreciate the freedom that PCs provide. You're not stuck to one marketplace or provider. You're not trapped in a single like online network. You're not beholden to anyone. Hell, install Linux, then you're really not beholden to anyone. I have to assume, be right, that the joke you were going for involved one less R in that sentence, in which case, that's a brilliant joke. I can see how a console can free a PC builder from the constraints of having to overspend in today's terrible market. Absolutely, especially like right now, it is a horrible time to be building a PC, and so I have never begrudged anyone for buying a console over a PC for a gaming experience. Buy whatever works for you. Like, who cares? But it is an especially bad time to build a PC right now, so I get it. That's yeah. It's a given that a PC of some sort will be required alongside the console. Yeah, it's just whether you can essentially combine two machines in one. The reason that I originally built a gaming PC was I had an Xbox 360, but I couldn't mod GTA 4. And I really wanted to. And there was some really cool stuff you could do, like different vehicles, lots of, mod packs and stuff, like environments and the visual side and like story stuff. There was lots of stuff you could do, and you just couldn't do that on my Xbox 360. So I built a PC, and then I went into game development, and we started the channel, and well, now look at me, an idiot on the internet. Consoles are very convenient for people who have no other use for a PC and just want to play COD with their mates. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it can be a fantastic gaming experience, and if it's right for you, awesome. Use my PC to research how to mod my PS3. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Adult research game. This is why I can't add any of you on Steam. I would just get, like... It should now playing. Oh no. I'd like to try to daily Linux, but time. To be fair, well, so I use Bazout, but my very good friend Phil was telling me about how they NixOS. NixOS is really interesting, like really kind of modular. How do I describe this? Everything that you install is all just packages in the like config, and old versions of the config are just different boot options. So whenever you install something and it bricks the system, you just boot from a different, like an older config version that doesn't have the stuff that bricked it in there, and it just works. And then you can, delete old ones whenever you have like too many options. But it's a really like cool idea for a super safe way to like mess around your with an operating system, but in a safe way. OS is code. Yeah, kind of. Which, especially because Phil's a very much a software developer, makes sense. God damn it, Chris. I really tried Linux on my x86 laptop and just come to realize I don't want to tinker anymore. I just want stuff to work. I mean, that's fair enough. I assume then the answer was you bought a Mac. Heard it plugs in well to things like Ansible, Puppet Chef. That tracks, to be fair, with what I've heard about it, but yeah. Linux is fussy on some laptops. The hardware can be a bit proprietary. Don't I know it? I did a video not too long ago about me switching to Bazzite on a laptop, and it was a great experience, except for the fact that sound doesn't work, and still doesn't, as far as I'm aware. I already had Mac since 2011. I also have a Windows laptop that I tried Linux on for about 6 months. Fair enough. I've been trying infrastructure as code by emulating legacy IC hardware. Nice. How does it work with AMD and NVIDIA Optimus? NVIDIA Optimus seemed to work okay, actually. Yeah. Hardware issues are not a Linux thing, it's a vendor thing, but Linux gets the blame. Yeah, well, that's kind of what I mentioned about in that video, is that, like, the reason the sound doesn't work on Bazzite on that laptop for me isn't because Bazzite isn't a good operating system or has some issue. It's undoubtedly that both ASUS and Realtek have done some stupid stuff that they were able to just fix with a like driver specific package in Windows, but they never put any effort in to make that work on Linux, and so now it doesn't work on Linux. And a lot of people generally blame Linux as a concept for those issues. But at the same time, it kind of doesn't matter because it still doesn't actually work when you install that operating system. If you went and installed Windows on the same laptop, it would just work TM, or a lot better. Or you could just download the driver package. But on Linux, it becomes a fight. So it's not their fault, but if they want good adoption, it needs to be. It's difficult. For sure, Ish. I mean, I actually looked through the comments of that video yesterday or the day before, because I was like, hold on a minute, I haven't looked in a little while. Let's see if someone's, got the solution for me. And a lot of people did say just like use a USB SIM card, but it's a laptop. I don't want to have a dongle and then some external speakers just to hear audio. Like, I can use Bluetooth headphones, that did work. Like, sound works on the laptop, it's just the Realtek codec doesn't, and therefore I can't have the speakers that are built into the laptop make any sound. And that was really annoying. So, yeah. Realtek are actually ass when it comes to software. I don't disagree. Yeah. Linux plays very nicely with AMD GPUs. Some Realtek audio can be a massive issue. Yeah. Become like Apple, embrace the dongle life. God, no. I have a copy of SUSE 8 in my loft. I've tried Linux since about 2001. Can't believe I bought it from PC World. Damn. I guess some OEMs think, if I have to pay the Microsoft Windows tax to sell my PC, I'm not sure I want to spend more on Linux. Oh, for sure. I mean, the number of people who will buy a laptop and then reinstall the operating system to anything is a percent of a percent. The percentage of those people who will then install a different operating system like Linux is, no more than half of that 0.1 of a point of a point percent. So yeah, it's hard to support that sort of demographic, basically. But the more people who do and who put up with it, the more support you get. So eBuyer used to sell their own PCs with no OS for you to install on your own. A few vendors still do that. A few vendors you can just pick no OS to install your own. Root eBuyer. True. I don't think I ever bought from them. But I did visit them once. I just realized I've technically spent more on buying Linux than I have on Windows. Brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah. Nice. I think that makes you a true OG, yeah. I bought a bunch of Mubar. Nice. Bitch. They were good, other than their Yodel usage. Yeah. Surprisingly, I've had a decent time with Every recently, which, you know, in fact, that PC was delivered via Every, formerly Hermes. I don't know why they changed the name, because Every just sounds, it just reminds you that they break every package. They lose every package. They damage every package. It's right there, you know? I was able to do DPD. Mickey, my local driver, always came up tops. Nice. Um, I live very close to a big hub, so even if I have a consistent driver, I get a lot of deliveries and collections, so I know a lot of the drivers, but even then, they still rotate out. I mean, even my regular postie rotates out, and what currently feels like you know, several weeks on, several months off, several weeks on, several months off kind of deal. Their name Hermes was the winged messenger, and Every continues the tradition, making parcels fly. Well, yeah, what was the joke that, like, if it was a Hermes delivery, you'd find it on your roof. If it was a Yodo delivery, you'd find it in a wheelie bin 3 postcodes over on bin day. Best delivery had to be the Amazon one where the packages are covered in fleas. Ugh. I mean, my best delivery was when I still was lived with my parents. Um, I think it was like I don't know, maybe like a Saturday night or something. Knock at the door at like 8 p.m. as well. I went and got it. And there was this box, this utterly destroyed, ripped open, stuff falling out of it box. And the driver had literally sprinted up the road, like away from it. And I quickly checked the label, and it was for like the next town over, kind of crazily wrong. And I was like screaming at him, "Oi, this isn't mine! Come and get this!" And he like very somberly walked back, picked it up, and walked away again. Like, what? What? Like, I'm pretty sure that most of the package wasn't left in the package. It was a big box, like that size, that size, that size, with a massive hole ripped in it, like a bit missing. Like I can't remember what it was. Like kids' toys that were just like falling out of it, and it wasn't for like anywhere near us. Oh. Managed to get a couple of PCs, no OS, but some configurations and packages just don't give you the option. Linux isn't perfect on those devices, but largely works. Fair enough. Any plans on checking out the Logitech Pro X2 Super Strike haptic button mouse? Looks interesting from what I can see. Like your take on it. I sort of have a contact at Logitech, but they keep inviting me to events in London, and I keep saying, sorry, I'm disabled, and then they keep not replying, but keep inviting me to various things anyway. So I don't know if I could get my hands on that. I can try, but no guarantees. I'd love to. My mana glass files delivered was a massive empty box with no padding. I live in Canada, but I'm often amazed at the quality of AliExpress packages arrive in better shape than Amazon Prime sometimes. Yeah, I'm not sure if their drivers actually get paid the same as the postman and their parcels ain't letters. That's true, yeah. Disabled equals scary. Something like that. Oh dear. That is a fair worst delivery time. Yeah. CEX have a vested interest in it still working though. So. Anyway, I think I'm gonna leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Hope you all stay safe. Please watch the video on Monday and tomorrow, but Monday specifically. And yeah, catch you guys next week.